Hi, today we're going to take a look at lesson 83, which is multiplying numbers in scientific notation. And we have to remember from lesson 47, when we multiply powers of the same base, we add the exponents. And we have to always write the answer in final scientific notation, which is a number, a decimal, and then any additional numbers times 10 to an exponent, okay? Remember, you're always only allowed to have one number to the left of the decimal. Okay, otherwise you have to put it in final scientific notation. So here we go. If we have a problem like this, there's their problem. We know that the commutative property says we can, in multiplication, shift numbers around. So we can actually group them. We can go 1.2 times 3 times 10 to the 6th times 10 to the 4th. This is all one big multiplication problem. Then the associative property says we can put parentheses around groups of numbers. We can associate them. All right, so now I have these two multiplied together and these two. And then when we simplify, we get, this is 3.6, and 10 to the 6th times 10 to the 4th is the same thing. We know when we multiply, we add the exponents. So we get 10 to the 6th plus 4, and that simplifies down to 3.6 times 10 to the 10th. And it is proper scientific notation because it goes number, decimal, and then any other numbers times 10 to the whatever power. Okay, so here we go. Example 2. First thing is we rearrange the numbers. So we have a 2 times a 3 times 10 to the 5th times 10 to the 7th. And I also did the associative property. I went ahead and did parentheses. And then 2 times 3 is 6. I'm just working left to right, PEMDAS, times 10 to the negative 5th combined with a negative 7. So a negative 5 and a negative 7 becomes 10 to the negative 12. We add them together. Okay. All right, so this number, again, we use the commutative and associative properties to rearrange them, and we get 35 times 10 to the 3rd plus negative 8, which is 35 times 10 to the negative 5th. And you might notice this is not proper scientific notation. Remember what I said, you have to have a decimal after the first number. Okay, so what we have to do is move the decimal over 1. We've done this before, and it becomes 3.5 times 10 to the 1st, because I moved it one spot, times 10 to the 5th, that's where that came from. And then I do the 1 plus a negative 5, and I get 3.5 times 10 to the negative 4th. You do need to show me your steps on this, okay? All right, backside. Okay, so we have 4 times 3 times 10 to the 6th times 10 to the 5th, and I get 12 times 10 to the 11th. That is not final scientific notation. I have to move my decimal over 1, and there it is, 1.2 times 10 to the 1st, and then I bring this down times 10 to the 11th, and I should come up with 1.2 times 10 to the 12th. Okay, hit pause, go ahead and do your practice set, and then come back and check your work. Okay, first problem A. You should have regrouped the numbers, 4.2 times 1.4, 10 to the 6th, 10 to the 3rd. Multiply those two, okay, and that's your answer. B, you should have come up with 1.5 times 10 to the 13th. Okay, and this one you did have to move the decimal over 1. This one was pretty easy. 8.4 times 10 to the negative 10th. 4.2 times 10 to the negative 6th. Remember, we had to move the decimal over 1 right there. This one asked you to use the properties. And so in the first step, we use the commutative property to rearrange all these numbers, because we're allowed to in multiplication. Then we use the associative property to group them. Then we simplify, and then we add the two exponents, and that's what we get, okay? There you go.